You have been a homicide detective for 11 years. You have worked 73 cases. You have closed 61 of them. You know what grief looks like in a doorway. You know the difference between a husband who found his wife and a husband who put her there. You know how killers stand, how they breathe, how their eyes move when they're performing loss instead of feeling it. You think you know. It is 6:14 a.m. on a Thursday when your phone rings. Your partner, Marcus. 12 years on the force, 9 of them beside you. He doesn't say good morning. He says, you need to come to Sycamore. You know Sycamore. You grew up 3 blocks from Sycamore. The victim is a 34-year-old woman named Dana Reyes. Schoolteacher. No priors. No enemies on record. She is found in the kitchen of the house she shares with her husband. The cause of death is blunt force trauma. The husband is outside on the porch when you arrive, wrapped in a blanket a uniform gave him, holding a coffee mug with both hands, not drinking it, just holding it. His name is Joel Reyes. You've known Joel Reyes for 22 years. He was your college roommate. He was in your wedding. You were in his. You held his daughter the day she was born, and you called her beautiful, and you meant it. He called you 2 weeks ago to watch the game. You couldn't make it. You told him, next time. There is not going to be a next time. You walk to him. He looks up. His face does exactly what a face should do when it sees a friend arriving at the worst moment of its life. The breaking, the relief of a familiar person. He stands. He hugs you. He says your name like it's the first real thing he's said since he found her. And something in your chest goes cold because you felt how he hugged you. And it was a performance. You don't know that yet, not consciously, but the part of your brain that has worked 73 homicides registers it somewhere below language. A fraction of a second too much pressure, the arms holding on slightly too long, a man performing the act of being held together. You pull back, you look at him, you say, "Tell me everything." He does. He was at his brother's house. He came home at 5:40. The door was unlocked. He walked in. He found her. His brother confirms it. His brother, Ray Reyes, who you also know, who coached Little League with your father 20 years ago, who came to your mother's funeral and sat in the 3rd row and shook your hand and said she was a good woman. The timeline is clean. The alibi is solid. The scene is staged. You know it's staged. The angles are wrong. The blood pattern is wrong. The body was moved after death. But staged by whom is a question the evidence hasn't answered yet. You go home that night and you sit at your kitchen table and you try to separate 2 things that don't want to be separated. The detective and the friend. The detective sees the hug. The friend insists you are wrong. The detective notes the coffee mug, held but not sipped, a prop for visible hands. The friend says grief makes people do strange things. The detective points out that the back door showed no forced entry and Dana's keys were on the counter, and the only other person with a key to that house is Joel. The friend says, "That's not enough." The detective says, "I know." You go back to the case the next morning. You interview the neighbors. You pull the phone records. You find something. A number. 18 calls in the last 2 months to a cell registered to a woman named Claire Bautista. You run Claire Bautista. 29. Real estate agent. No record. A photograph on her work website of a woman who is not Dana. You sit with this for a long time. You drive to Marcus. You show him the number. He looks at it. He looks at you. He asks if you want to hand the case off. You tell him no. He asks if you're sure. You tell him you're sure. He doesn't look sure, but he is your partner and this is your call, and he lets you make it. You bring Joel in for a second interview. Voluntary. He comes willingly. He sits across from you in a room you have sat across from murderers in, and he is cooperative and sad, and he answers every question you ask. At the 23rd minute, you put Claire Bautista's photo on the table. You watch his face. 11 years of reading faces. 73 cases. 61 closed. He knows you saw it. You saw it. For 4 seconds, neither of you speaks. The room is very small and very quiet, and 22 years of shared history sit between you on that table, next to the photo of a woman whose name is not Dana. Then he says, "It wasn't what you think," and the detective in you recognizes the architecture of that sentence. Not a denial, not outrage, not, "Who is that?" or "What are you implying?" It was not what you think, which means he knows what you think, which means there is a what. You say, "Tell me what it was." He does, slowly, carefully, the way a man speaks when he is deciding in real time how much truth the situation requires. He says they had a fight. He says Dana found out. He says he went to his brother's to give her space. He says he did not know she was dead until he walked through that door. You ask him about the door. He says he found it unlocked. You ask him to confirm there was no forced entry. He says he doesn't know. You ask him who else had a key to the house. He pauses for the first time since the interview began, just one beat too long. He says, "Just me and Dana." You look at him. He looks at you. And in that moment, across a table in a room built for confessions, your friend of 22 years looks at the man who has been inside his house for dinner, who knows his daughter's laugh, who stood beside him at his wedding, and he lies to your face. You know it is a lie. He knows you know, and he holds it anyway, because he has calculated that you will not be the one to break this, that the friendship is the alibi, that 22 years of shared history is a door locked from the inside, and no detective kicks down a door that used to belong to them. He is wrong. You are the lead detective. This is your case. You have worked 73 homicides, and you have closed 61 of them. The 12 you didn't close live in a box under your desk, and you think about them on Sundays. Dana Reyes is not going in that box. You tell him you need him to stay available. He says, "Of course." He stands. He thanks you. He squeezes your shoulder the way he has 1,000 times. He walks out. You watch him through the glass. You wait until he turns the corner. Then you pick up the phone and you call Claire Bautista. She answers on the second ring. She knows who you are. He told her you might call. She is already crying before you say a word, and the cry is not the performance Joel's hug was. It is the raw, exhausted cry of a woman who has been carrying something that is destroying her. She tells you everything. She was with him the night before, not at the brother's house, at her apartment. She was his alibi, the real one, the one he couldn't use without destroying what was left of his story. She says he left at 11 p.m. She says his brother's house was the cover they agreed on. She says she didn't know Dana was dead until the morning news. She says something else. She says, he came back. You ask when. She says 1:30 a.m. She says he was there for 40 minutes. She says he showered. The kitchen, the blood pattern, the body moved after death. Dana was alive when he left for Claire's. He came back. He came back and he walked into that kitchen and he did what the scene has been telling you since 6:14 in the morning, and you have been arguing with it for 30 hours because the man who did it was in your wedding. You close the case in 72 hours. You make the arrest yourself. You knock on the door of his brother's house where he has been staying. He opens it and sees your face, and he understands immediately. He doesn't run. He doesn't argue. He looks at you with an expression that is not guilt and not grief, but something in between, a kind of exhausted recognition, like a man who has been waiting to be found. He puts his hands out. You put the cuffs on. You say the words you have said 61 times before. They feel different in your mouth this time, heavier. The weight of 22 years compressed into a legal sentence. His daughter is 7. You think about her the whole drive to the station. You think about the day you held her and called her beautiful. You think about how she will grow up and she will ask what happened, and someone will have to answer. That is not your job. Your job ended when you closed the door on the cruiser. You sit in the parking lot for 11 minutes before you go inside. You don't cry. You're not sure you still know how. You think about Dana. You think about 73 cases. You think about the box under your desk and the 12 names in it. You think about the hug. You knew in the hug. You have known longer than you let yourself know. And the question that will stay with you, the one that doesn't close when the case does, is this. How many seconds did it cost Dana Reyes that you were his friend first and a detective second? How many seconds between 11 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. might have gone differently if you had trusted your read on the hug instead of overruling it with 22 years of history? You don't know. You will never know. That's the one that goes in the box.